I don't ever wanna feel like I did that thing. Take me to the best side now. Take me away. I don't ever wanna. I'm gonna break down an easy chords version of the song Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I have a capo on the 4th fret, and there are a lot of different chords in this version, but it's still beginner friendly. It's pretty manageable if you're an early sort of beginner on the guitar. Not the first song you should pick up, but definitely within the realm of beginner. So the intro is just 2 chords, back and forth. It'll be a B flat power chord. It's just 3 strings. And what I would do with it is just kind of pick it like that. It's a 1st fret on the A string, and then the 3rd fret on the D string, and the 3rd fret on the G string for a mute that lowy with the tip of your index finger, so you can just strum for that first hit. And it'll be a 1-3-3. If you want to, you can flatten your pinky out and get that B string in there if you want. It's not really necessary, but. And then you're going to switch to a D major with an F sharp root up here. I like to grab it with my thumb, but people do it like this too. You just don't want to have that high E string, so I'm playing a D chord here down the bottom, and an F sharp root, so a 2 on the low E string with an open 2-3-2. It's just a standard D chord with an F sharp root, and you can strum out the bottom strings. So I'm picking rather E, A, E, D, A, and those are the strings, not the notes, but it's basically the same pattern I picked out for the B flat power chord. And then you're right back. And then there's a slight variation here going back to the D again, but you slide that up to the 3rd fret, and then right back into that D again. And that's the intro, so you just kind of do that twice, that whole pattern twice. And then you can go into the song from there. So that's the intro. The chords for the verse are going to be a C, a G, an A minor, E minor, F. So that's kind of the pattern there. It loops around again, but the second time you'd leave the E minor out, so it'll sound like. The first time. So you go around once with the E minor, you go around again without the E minor, and that's kind of the pattern. So it's C, G, A minor, E minor, F, C, G, A minor, F, and then you repeat that whole thing twice. So the C chord, I'm just playing a standard C. I'm not including this string, although if you wanted to, you could. I'm going to show you how you can do that. If you want to, it's optional, but regular C chord is just going to be a muted low E and then a 3-2 open 1 open. So that would be your typical C chord there. If you wanted to include the bottom string, or the low E rather, you could slip your pinky in on the 3rd fret of the A string to cover your C root there, and then throw a G in on the 3rd fret of the E string there with your ring finger. I generally don't do that, but you can. So that's the first chord, and then if I'm playing a standard C, then the next chord I'm going to play is a G. This is not the form of G that I would typically use, but it's just such an easy transition from the standard C chord to G. All you have to do is bump up your middle finger and ring finger, 1 string each, and then drop your pinky down on the 3rd fret of the low E string. So you end up on a 3-2, open, 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 3. So the transition's really easy. And you'll notice that throughout this song, my hand barely moves in the verses and the chorus. C to G, and you go to A minor, and the A minor is just going to be an open A string, and then 2, 2, 1, open from there. And the first time around you go to the E minor, so you just bump these two fingers up a string each, and then play the whole guitar, all 6 strings. Open, 2, 2, open, open, open. And then, so that's a quick one. And then you go right to the F. So a lot of people have trouble with F, and it's a bar chord, and it's probably the hardest bar chord to play because you're way back on the neck, and the wider the frets are, the tougher it is to push them down, and the harder it is to stretch that whole bar chord out and get every string. But in this case, we're capoed on the 4th fret, so that should make it easier. If you've been avoiding learning like the real F chord, like this bar chord, avoiding playing it like this, maybe let this be the song that gets you over that hump, because once you tackle this chord, you'll have it forever and you can just use it. A lot of people avoid playing the F chord like this way, and some people avoid it for their entire lives. I've seen old guys playing guitar where they play this kind of makeshift F major 7 as their like primary F chord, or like this. Should have the bottom in there too. So it's a bar chord, so it'll be all 1 on the low E string, and then 3, 3, 2, and then you'll be barring 1, 1 on the B and the E string, so it'll be 1, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1. And the idea is that this finger is just barred all the way down. It kind of helps to like bow your finger out a little bit. That way you have this fat part on the bottom of your finger flattening out against the 1s on the high E and the B, and then you have the tip of your finger down on the E string, so you'll get all the strings to sound out, hopefully. If you have trouble with it, you can fudge the F, just playing it like this kind of cheater way, I guess, where you just play the highest 4 strings. And you can also do it like this, where you have these 2 fingers up here on the 3s, on the A and the D string, and then you have the rest of the chord laid out with your fingers down here like this. So you're basically only missing out on the low E. I would recommend just playing the whole chord though. So that is a way too long explanation of an F chord, but that's the whole verse. So the verse looks like... and you just loop that whole figure twice. Now what I'm doing with the A minor there is I'm hammering on. So I'm strumming it, and then I'm coming down with my middle and ring fingers after. I'm hammering on to those 2 strings. It just kind of helps it keep a little bit of the finesse from the original track, because he's all over the place when he plays, and it's very kind of tricky, and there's lots of little trills and grace notes and everything like that. So it sounds really fancy. That's just one way of maintaining a little bit of that. But you can leave that out if it's not working out. It's something good to practice and get down though. It makes you look like you're more busy on the guitar. It makes it look like there's more happening. That's one of the things that I like about this song, is that you can really look like you're playing a lot of guitar with it, even though it's a pretty simple version still. Strumming for the first verse can just be all down strums for each chord. So sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. Just do down strums for each chord, just sound them out. It's kind of what he does in the recording. Even though it's a solo acoustic, you can kind of follow that still. Sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city. Those down strums, they work. So for the first verse, that's what you could do if you wanted to. The second verse is a little different, but before we actually get to that, there is something, it's a little section I would call a refrain, where you're just playing a C major 7. And it's the same as the C major chord, but you're just leaving your index finger off of the guitar that would normally be on the first fret of the B string, just leave it off. So it'll be a 3-2, open, open, open. And basically you hit that, you let it sound out, and what they do when they do an acoustic version of the song is he'll tap the guitar. So coming out of the verse, going into the second verse. Right on the streets, girl, she's my companion. So that's the, I would call it a refrain, and it's just a C major 7. Really easy, just that one chord, boom. And let it ring out. You can tap the guitar or not, I don't know. You can just keep strumming it. Do whatever you want. It's an interpretation, you know, doesn't matter either way. But the second verse does have a more intricate strumming pattern. So it'll sound like this. Basically what I'm doing is down, down, up, chunk, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, chunk, up, down, 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 up, down, up. For that first half where there's the E minor. Then it's the same coming around again. Down, down, up, chunk, up, down, up, chunk, up, down, up, down, down, up, chunk, up, down, up, chunk, up, down, up. So it's that one pattern a lot. It's that one pattern kind of 3 times with a slight variation stuck in between those first 2 where there's an E minor, basically. But it's a pretty simple pattern. It's very repetitive. So the chorus is a little weird. It's a D minor and a C, then it goes to a G, and then back to D minor. And then it loops around again. So it's D minor, C, G, D minor, C, G, D minor. Kind of starts and ends on a D minor. If you don't know how to play a D minor, it's an open D chord or open D string, and then the 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 1st fret, going down from the D string. So that's your D minor chord, and the whole way around sounds a bit like this. Starts again. And the whole thing, the whole pattern loops 4 times, I believe, all the way through the chorus. Strumming for the chorus is a little more straightforward, and it looks like this. So it's chunk, down, chunk, that'll just loop like 2 or 4 times with the chorus. You'll be able to hear when it ends. The lyrics kind of repeat twice. But that's it for the chorus. That's pretty simple. When you're coming out of that last chorus, that's when things get a little weird. It's mostly power chords with your F, and it's kind of a workout for your hand, so this might be the toughest section to play on your hand physically, but it's still pretty simple. So it'll sound like this. So what I'm doing is I'm playing the F chord again, but then I'm going to an F minor, which is just releasing your middle finger from the fretboard. And then I go to a D sharp power chord. It sounds kind of weak, but you would have to play D sharp here to fill in the proper chord, and then it goes to a C sharp. I'm not crazy about the way these power chords sound on their own, so what I generally do to give them a little more body is I add the low E string to it. So it sounds a little fatter, a little bigger, and that contrasts a little less drastically with the big sound of the F chord. I think it sounds a little better. But if that's a little too tough right now, you can just play the power chords, the D sharp and the C sharp. So it'll be on the 6th fret. So you'll be playing a 6, 8, 8, but I mean relative to the capo, it's a little weird when you go that far away from the capo. So. And then you slide down 2 frets to the C sharp, which will be 4, 4, 6, 6. And if you can swing it again, just try and flatten your index finger out over the low E string to include that. But that pattern repeats basically for the entire ending, except for a weird little part in the middle there. So. You come around 4 times, and then this weird little kind of reload thing happens where you hang out on this chord for a little longer, then you go down, then you go back up. So it'll sound like this. That's when it gets into the big loud part at the very ending. So all I'm doing differently there is when you're coming around from the D sharp to the C sharp, I'm just hanging on the C sharp. And I go down to C, up to D sharp, and then you get back into it a little heavier. And for the strumming pattern for that, I'm doing just mostly down strums, and I'm throwing some up strums in there when I'm switching chords just to kind of cover the movement of my hand. So you can see that I'm only throwing up strums in there when I'm switching chords, and it's just mainly to maintain like the evenness of the sound of the playing on the guitar while I'm transitioning. That's all it is, just to kind of cover the sound. So that's the whole song though. That's the ending right there, and that just kind of loops, and you take that out and you get a little quiet at the end. And then you end on an F chord. And that'll take you out. So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. Like and subscribe if you haven't already and you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you next time.